Popular history often frames the Silk Road as a romantic corridor of cultural exchange, where spices and silks flowed freely between East and West. The Pax Mongolica functioned as the violent enforcement of a continental corporate monopoly. To understand the Mongol economic strategy, we have to look at the primary macroeconomic problem of ancient overland trade: logistical friction. This pre-13th century map illustrates that friction. Merchants faced a gauntlet of middleman markups, localized banditry, and overlapping tariffs. Every time goods crossed a colored zone, profit margins shrank. The Mongol Empire solved this by simply erasing the borders. The Mongol military systematically annihilated competing states from Hungary to China to consolidate this fragmented supply chain under a single central administration. The resulting safety for travelers, the famous claim that a maiden could walk the continent with a gold nugget on her head, was a rigorous fiscal strategy implemented to protect taxable assets. Eurasia was now managed as a heavily armed, highly efficient toll booth, backed by a total Mongol monopoly on violence. Maintaining a unified economic zone across 12 million square miles required massive infrastructure, still seen today in stone caravanserai scattered across the steppe. The backbone of this network was the Yam system, a highly regimented postal and relay infrastructure consisting of thousands of stations placed a day's ride apart, allowing the state to project control across vast distances. Access to this state protection and infrastructure required a physical mechanism, the paisa. Carrying this metal passport meant the traveler was designated as a direct assa of the Khan. Attacking a merchant carrying a paisa was a capital offense against the state. In 1340, the Florentine merchant Francesco Pegolotti advised European traders that the route to Cathay was perfectly safe, whether by day or by night. Pegolotti also detailed a critical legal caveat. If a foreign merchant died while on the route, their entire estate defaulted entirely to the Mongol state. The legal framework transformed independent, risk-taking merchants into highly protected yet entirely captive revenue streams for the imperial treasury. The wealth extracted from the rural trade routes eventually flowed inward to administrative centers like the imperial capital at Karakorum. Here, the state established the Ortogh, official state-sponsored merchant guilds. The Mongol Khans functioned as sovereign venture capitalists, deploying the imperial treasury to aggressively expand the empire's market reach. This diagram maps the flow of physical capital. The state provided vast, low-interest silver loans directly to the Ortogh. These merchants used the capital to fund high-risk overland expeditions, returning with yields that enriched both the guild and the Khan. While financial capital expanded market reach, the empire's next objective was the systematic optimization of human capital. During their conquests, Mongol armies systematically bypassed general slaughter for specific individuals. They kidnapped highly specialized craftsmen, specifically weavers, metallurgists, and engineers. These skilled laborers were forcibly relocated thousands of miles from their homes, clustered into captive artisan colonies to centralize the manufacturing of high-margin luxury goods, like this gold and silk textile. By combining state-backed venture capital with centralized captive manufacturing, the Mongol state engineered a vertically integrated continental monopoly. The most sophisticated wealth extraction mechanism in the pre-modern world was deployed in Yuan dynasty China. The Mongol administration introduced the concept of fiat currency. This is the Chao, paper money printed on mulberry bark forced upon the domestic population. It was explicitly unpegged and could not be exchanged for precious metals. The state confiscates all physical gold and silver from the public, issuing this paper in place. Maintaining the value of an unpegged currency requires a strict enforcement mechanism. Refusing to accept the Chao for trade was classified as an act of treason, punishable by immediate death. Counterfeiting the easily replicated bark paper carried the exact same zero-tolerance execution penalty. This system allowed the Mongol elite to hoard hard, globally recognized assets to fund their international Ortogh caravans, while paying their domestic subjects in infinitely printable bark. The Chao established a closed-loop macroeconomic system, extracting tangible value from the population while providing notes backed solely by the absolute certainty of state violence. This visualization tracks the Eurasian continent operating at peak macroeconomic efficiency. The Yam postal routes and Ortogh trade arteries moved information and goods faster than ever before. This efficiency bottlenecked at the extreme western terminus, the port of Kaffa on the Black Sea. Kaffa served as the high-volume pipeline connecting the Asian steppe directly to European markets via Genoese trading ships. The system possessed a fatal, unseen vulnerability: the total elimination of physical and temporal friction. Prior to the 13th century, the fragmented nature of overland trade provided a natural biological quarantine, trapping localized outbreaks within their own borders, because the carriers died before reaching the next trade hub. The exact same infrastructure, engineered to move silk, silver, and armies at high speeds, was perfectly optimized to transport pathogens across the continent. To see the system fail, we have to look at the micro-level reality of this hyper-connected supply chain. The bacteria Yersinia pestis, stowed away within the heavily protected Mongol logistical network, carried by rodents hiding in grain shipments and textiles. The biological spread tracked precisely along the empire's primary trade arteries. The pathogen moved rapidly from the east, hit the Kaffa bottleneck, and then exploded into the Mediterranean via Genoese shipping lanes. The result was the total cessation of global trade. As the pathogen breached the European market, the human cost was catastrophic. The Black Death wiped out up to half the population in affected regions. These staggering mortality rates permanently shattered the labor force that produced the goods and the consumer base required to buy them. Panic severed the Yam postal routes, destroyed the Ortogh capital flow, and rendered paper currency entirely worthless. The Pax Mongolica engineered its own destruction. The Black Death was the thermodynamic blowback of a frictionless supply chain, turning the ultimate wealth extraction machine into the vector that permanently crashed the empire's operating system.